Okay, so let's talk what Phenomics health is all about, because this is the most important thing to understand, to remember, okay? We are all about phenotyping. And what is a phenotype? A phenotype is the combination of your genetic predispositions, your gene expression with your environment. And that results in your phenotype. Now, I'll give you an example. It can be your cholesterol level. It can be your blood sugar. It also is the color of your hair, okay? So phenotype things, but when we talk about a phenotype in health, we're really looking at that combination of your predisposition and your environment that produces a certain way of being, and it can produce a certain kind of symptom of health, for example, and then we want to treat that. And the more that we understand that combination of genetic and environmental factors that bring you to where you are health-wise, the more we can treat root cause. So Phenomics was born from that scientific perspective, but it was also born from the idea that we want to create phenomenal health.
I love that, right? Phenomenal health, right?
Want to build phenomenal health for females. So we built that X chromosome into the name based on the fact that we are really working towards women's health. And of course, Phenomics contends with all of the science behind it: genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, metabolomics, okay? Because we can use all of that fancy sounding science to actually diagnose your health state before disease. Used a lot now is scientific wellness. It's what sounds like very complex science, just to understand where we are on our trajectory in our lifespan, in our health span, so we can figure out what we can do about it to change our trajectory before we get to the point where we have disease that we have to treat in a more extreme way. We are changing the way we look at health and the way we look at health care. Because first of all, we're changing it by diagnosing your phenotype, not your disease diagnosis, but we're also targeting with your annual clinical tests that you would have done at your doctor's office, for example, will give you very standard information on your cholesterol, on your blood sugar control. It will look at your liver function, your kidney function. It will rule out all of the severe issues that could be going on for you. And that's what those tests do really well. If you have a real serious health problem, you should be able to get some insight on that from those tests. What they don't tell you is your nutritional status, your what kind of like journey you're on towards a nutritional deficiency or imbalance. And they're not going to give you that early information. And that's the hard part, okay? Because if you have symptoms, like let's take a woman in perimenopause who's having some strange and different symptoms, and she goes to her doctor and has those standard medical tests, she may not get any information from those, because this is a health imbalance, a hormone imbalance. And it's not necessarily something that's picked up in those kinds of tests. So it's more convenient to do the testing more often, so you can look at trends and changes over time, which is also really key when you're using tests that are not for the diagnosis of disease. So they're not looking for that extreme phenotype, like diabetes is an extreme phenotype, but they're looking for maybe lots of variability in your blood sugar or whatnot. Then you can do those tests more often to look at the patterns, and those patterns that you have are different than the patterns that I have. And so it's a real opportunity to learn about yourself and what you can personalize for you. When we think about longevity, what that actually means, because when we think about longevity in the scientific community, what we're really looking at is how well our bodies manage energy, our energy, how efficiently we can use it. Do we have enough of it? How good are we at repairing ourselves and maintaining ourselves? Or do we have a lot of cellular senescence, which is a sign of aging? And what can we do to prevent that? So that's like a very oversimplified approach to how we look at longevity in science. When I look at the menopause journey, so we say, it's on average 10 years, but, this is highly variable, highly individualized, 34 plus different symptoms, again, highly variable, highly individualized. This is one of the many windows of vulnerability in a woman's life cycle. So she has a vulnerability when she's an adolescent girl. She's a newly menstruating adolescent girl. She's got premenstrual syndrome, and 80% of adolescent girls have period pain. 80%. Okay. Then we go into the areas that maybe we've studied better, which is the pregnancy, lactation, and more effort and fertility. These are vulnerable times for women. And then we've got this menopause journey, our second adolescence, another vulnerable time. And when I say vulnerable, I'm thinking, first of all, biologically. Because what we do is we can see where we have issues that could be a sign of what's going to happen as we age. And this is actually a message that you really see a lot from a woman called the glucose goddess, and she uses the continuous glucose monitoring and demonstrates how you can eat differently to manage your glucose. And this, I think, is so important for women on their menopausal journey to understand how well they are metabolizing their glucose and utilizing it. The current continuous glucose monitor on the market that seems to be the best is a product that's made by Abbott, and they use what we call a microneedle. And the device is set up in such a way that you press it into the back of your arm, and this microneedle goes into your arm. You don't even feel it, I promise you. And then it's to the arm. But it's really hitting it first. And I'm actually not a fan of putting needles in my own body either, even though I love all this, personalized testing. Right. I preferred someone else to do it, but it really goes onto the arm quite easily. I promise you, it does not hurt at all. You can wear it for 2 weeks. And then it connects to an app on your phone, and you can watch how your glucose changes throughout the day and even through the night. There is so much to learn from doing this. So at PhenomX Health, we are offering this, hopefully as part of our first product launch scheduled for June 2023. We will have this in addition to a micronutrient test and a hormone test, menopause.